So, thinking today about endings, end of the year, closings, closing out the year. And we tend to, I think, in our culture, rush through endings and closings. And ironically, at a time of year when we have a lot to digest mentally, emotionally, and physically, um, instead of activating the rest and digest part of our nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, taking time, slowing down, and not rushing through it, we actually give ourselves even more stimulation. And a lot of impressions and experiences and food to digest. So in the winter season, the Agni, the fire element, is especially important. And while we can certainly think of fire as a physical element, a fire in the fireplace or a wildfire in nature or fire under the pots and pans to cook food, Agni is also the digestive fire, the fire that's inside of us that helps us to digest not just our food, but our mental and physical, our emotional food, if you will, as well as our physical food. So that brings up a few different ideas, which is, first of all, that a lot of times our cooking starts before the food even, the digestion starts before the food even gets in our mouths. By cooking the food, we're already breaking it down a little bit, so that it's easier to digest. And so in Ayurveda, they very rarely recommend uncooked food because it's important to sort of make digestion easier by food. Usually not overcooking it, more of a lot. There's a lot of steaming, sauteing, a little bit of baking and roasting. But again, it is partly cultural that they didn't have refrigeration, and a lot of homes in India still to this day don't have great refrigeration or the big refrigerators that we have. So in a way that's healthy because that means you have to buy your food fresh for the most part. There's not a way to store it otherwise. And also because sanitation and all of those things are a little bit more problematic than they are here. Cooking food oftentimes is just required in order to make sure that the food is clean. So cooking the food in some ways begins that digestive process. But then once it comes into our bodies, we want to be able to digest it. And again, we might think, oh, we're going to, do something active in the body. So maybe we need to have the more active part of our nervous system up and running, which would be the sympathetic nervous system. Just the opposite. The sympathetic nervous system is for true activity, for moving, for running. If you need to run away from that tiger and get lunch for yourself rather than be lunch. That's the sympathetic nervous system. So actually, to get that digestive fire really up and running, we want to turn on the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system. So again, I know for me, it's really a practice to sit down, not in front of the TV, at the table, and just eat my food. So, but if we think the first step would be to buy some fresh food, the second step would be to cook it in a nourishing way. And then the third step would be to actually take the time and put our attention on the food and eat it. That all of those things are supporting the Agni, the fire of digestion. So that I'm trying to think if there's anything else about the physical process of digestion. We will do some breathing techniques that are good for keeping the whole digestive system toned and ready. But for example, the breath of fire, you wouldn't necessarily want to do that right before you eat or right after you eat. So some of the things that we do for our digestion are not in the immediate temporal experience of digestion. So that's the physical part. And then why don't we do the same, or could we do the same with mental and emotional impressions and experiences? What do we shop for, if you will? Do we choose things that are really nourishing and fresh and not old? Or do we keep eating the same old emotions and, memories over and over again? So that would be sort of curating or choosing, picking what are the feelings, what are the memories, what are the thoughts that we want to choose for ourselves, and then how do we want to store them, or how long do we want to store them? Right? And then how do we want to digest them and take in what is truly nourishing? And it's interesting, no matter how nourishing what you choose is, the digestive process involves taking in what is nourishing and eliminating what is not necessary. There's no way that what we take in physically, emotionally, or mentally isn't going to have some waste. So it's important part of digestion to also really complete, let go, and release at the end of the process. Again, you want to take ownership of the fact that you're making the choice. It's not up to them, and you don't care what they say about what choices you make. I mean, I know you do. That's the problem. You do. I do. That's what you want to let go of, right? So yeah, so I think that's, so we've talked kind of on the front end, is there a way to manage what food comes into you, whether mentally, physically, emotionally? What kind of state are you in when you're actually inputting it, whether it's the novel or the news or the meat? But yeah, then, we've just kind of touched a little bit on, then there's the elimination part. And, as we're coming into winter, it really is about, okay, I'm finally in the spring, I kind of went shopping. In the summer, I decided what I was going to eat and when I was going to eat and where I was going to eat. And then in the fall, we ate all of that food, the news, the movies, the books, the turkey and the stuffing, etc.
And the family.
Right. And then now in the winter, how can we release and let go? And so it sounds like maybe one of the things for you to work on in terms of letting go is what they're saying or what they're thinking about the choices you made around how you were going to nourish yourself and how you were going to digest your food, and now what you're going to fully release and let go of. So let's move into some practices that can help us to really have a sense of completion, a sense of closure, just a few simple movements, but just focusing on that ending, how things end, and to give ourselves the time for that ending, give ourselves the space, right? So we have a spatial situation with digestion, and we have a temporal experience with digestion as well, from start to finish. And this is about finishing. And then I think, if we do some kind of practice every day, whether it's the breathing or the meditation or the movement, then that can translate later when you do get stuck in a situation with a phone call that you answered, and now you're like, oh man, I wish I didn't do that. But you're still going to be more prepared, right, to manage that digestive process. Right. If we do a little self-care, a little self-awareness, a check-in, a tune-in every day. So ideally, we would maybe not answer the phone call, but things are not ideal. So I did answer the phone call, and now how do I manage the digestive process of that? So, all right. So let's do a little breath of fire. So you could sit in a chair, edge of the bed, sofa, whatever. I'll sit on my little cushion here. And then bring the palms up to the chest. Just starting our practice by stopping. So even the moment we begin the yoga practice, we're ending something first, right? We're closing out everything that just happened before and coming here and now, spatially and temporally, into this moment. And then interlacing the fingers and resting the palms on the chest. And then lift the chest up into those hands. Recede the face. Lift up through the back of the head, but don't let the head fall forward. So just getting taller through the chest, the throat, the neck, and the head. Creating space here. Of course, this is where all these impressions, emotions, and the physical food itself, right, is going to enter in through the head, through our ears, through our eyes, smells through the noses, the taste through the mouth. And even when it's not physical food, sometimes there's a smell and a taste to it, right? But the mental impressions, the emotional experiences tend to come in more through the eyes and ears. But just taking all of that, as well as a sense of touch and feel, and just lightly pulling the face back in towards the skull, the back of the skull. Your breath, just your regular everyday breath. Remembering that the breath is a really important part of digesting everything that we take in on every level. And then pressing the palms out, thumbs down, pinkies up. I don't think there's any other way you could do that unless you were double jointed. And inhaling, lifting the palms up. And any amount that you can. If you need to open the elbows to keep the arms in line with the ears, feel free to do that. You can straighten out through the elbows and the wrists, do that. Then we'll begin the breath of fire. So this can be very slow and steady, or it can go faster. The important thing is to find a rhythm that you can sustain. And also that you lift that low belly in and up on each exhalation. You emphasize the exhalation and you simply allow the inhalation. The inhalation is more passive. So here we go. And then turn to the right any amount that you can and keep going. Come back through center. Take a little break, inhaling and exhaling here, just regular, but emphasize that exhale. Pause at the bottom of the exhalation. So already paying a little more attention to completion, to release, to letting go. And then turn to the left, breath of fire here. And then inhale, come back through center. Exhale, very slowly release the fingers from right to left. Slowly let those arms float down. Really taking the time to completely feel and experiencing the end. Closing out the practice. Letting the fingertips touch the earth or the palms rest on the thighs. Just fully allowing the experience of breath of fire to be integrated in the body. And of course, part of that is that it helps us to let go of whatever it is. The wish that the sister would ask how you are. The wish that the family would understand whether you attend or do not attend. Just letting that go. Maybe feeling a little warmth, a little fire helping to burn up, melt away, dissolve anything that is not nourishing. And then taking your fingers up to your forehead and just very lightly drawing the fingers across there. You can go a little more deeper, I guess I would say. Press the fingers a little bit into the forehead if that feels good. Just imagine that you could be clearing out all those mental loops, those spinning thoughts, and then come to rest at the temples and do some gentle circles there. And then grab with your pointer finger and your thumb. You can use some other fingers too if you like. And start pulling on the ears. Put the thumb on the inside, the fingers on the outside. Work your way down and let that thumb really get into the seashell of the ear, into all those little nooks and crannies. And then the fingers on the outer ear, really pulling the ear away from the head, not off the head, but away. And then we get down to those earlobes, gently tugging on them a little bit. And then go back up and start again. And again, spend some time really getting in there. Ears away. And then as you finish up, again, there's always a little finishing action. So to finish clearing of the mind, we did the little massage to the temples to finish the ears. Put those pointer fingers right into the ear canal. Really get in there and do that. So, yeah, so can you really close out, let go of all the things that we hear that we don't necessarily want to hear, or we take in the part that we want and let go of the part that we don't want. And then just a nice gentle touch around the jaw, the mouth, the chin, through the nose, just that body sattva, it's called, just a gentle touch of the face, these parts that smell and taste. And then oftentimes based on, the nourishment that we take in, start to then just gently stroke the throat, then we'll give out, right? And I think that's important to think about. Well, what comes out of us after, and not just below, but after we digest something, what comes out maybe of the mouth, what comes up and out of the throat. And then just gently washing across the chest. And again, those interlaced fingers just resting on the heart. It's really supporting the emotional digestion. So we started up with the mental impressions, the thought loops, the spinning of all those cognitions, and then brought that down. Even bring your gaze down, whether it's a soft gaze at a still point or an internal gaze with the eyes closed. Bring the gaze down to the heart. Just allowing for that emotional digestion. And then releasing and letting that go. And again, just taking that moment of ending, whether palms are up or down, whatever feels right to you. They each have a specific meaning. If palms are up, it's seeking of receptivity. Palms down, looking more for grounding, rooting, centering. And just taking that temporal and spatial moment to be here and now and allow for things to really come completely to an end. And then come down into that more physical digestion. Take the hands in I guess it would be clockwise, but starting down below, going over to the right, up through center, over to the left. And here I would say press in as deeply as you comfortably can. So again, we're supporting this digestive process and the agni to be available to us whenever we need it. So that even if we are caught off guard, a moment just arises and there we are, and what do? This will help us to be able to access that rest and digest a process quickly in any moment. And we're only going to go in this one direction. So, usually in yoga, you do everything on both sides or in both directions, but this is the direction of digestion. So the ascending colon on the right, ascending colon on the left. So we always want to go with that. And then again, letting that go, just feeling your belly, letting the hands move away from the belly. Another moment of closure. Then we'll inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhale, right hand down. So here's that right side that we want to always work with first when it comes to digestion. And rather than trying to really lift and lengthen through the left side, think more about drawing this right side in and lifting up through the right side. And then notice what happens to the left side as a result of that. Lifting that low belly in and up. And now with that left side nice and open, take the left hand to the outside of the right and try not to lose the space that you just created there. Just the opposite on the right side, you just compacted it. Now lift that up, reach the right arm back for whatever you can reach. I'm going to hold on to my cushion. Try to lift up evenly through both sides of the body. Pull the right ribs back, pull the left ribs around, and again, feel that you're really pulling in on that right side. Working with the digestion. A soft gaze at a still point. So keeping that sustainable fire, that internal flame that isn't dying down, isn't roaring out of control, but just lightly leaping and warming. And then inhale, come back through center, reach up, and exhale, let that left hand come down. Again, rather than trying to reach through the right side, think more about lifting the left side up and pulling it in. Pull it in and lift it up. So that really the left side does the work. Now that right side that just got compacted and squeezed is opening and it's releasing over to that left side. So in this instance of doing the right and left, the completion comes when we have done both sides equally. And then as you're ready, lift up through that left side. Try not to lose any space in the right side. Bring the right arm across. Reach that left arm back any amount that you can. Don't come so far around that you lose space in the right chest. Lift the armpit chest area up and spin around to the left. Have a soft gaze at a still point. And so as we finish up here with that second side of this movement, again, a good time to think about what you're releasing, letting go of expectations. This is a season that is fraught with expectations and also a lot of disappointment as well, coming with those expectations. Releasing that, letting that go, coming back through center. This time, arms just relaxed. And again, that moment of ending. A few breaths here, inhaling and exhaling, focusing on the exhalation, pausing at the bottom of the exhalation, not rushing through the ending. If anything, really lingering there. And then let's come to standing. And here, I'll go sideways. And so have a little bend in the knees. And we'll inhale, reach the arms out, but pull the shoulders back. So it's a tiny chair pose. And then on the exhale, pull the elbows in and back and lightly fist the hands. And we'll do that a few times. So inhale, exhale. Elbow long, low belly lifting. And again, really thinking about releasing and letting go here. And then bringing a little twist into it. So just the right arm reaches out, twist to the left. Exhale, pull it in. Inhale, left arm reaches out, twist to the right. Exhale, pull it in. So just one arm at a time now, adding a little twist. Cross country ski it, we can say. Make sure you have a clean finish on both the reaching out and the pulling in. And then once again, we'll reach both arms out. We'll inhale. Keep the breath in, and then pull the arms back and pump. So this is on a full breath. I can't actually do it because I'm talking. Good. And then just whenever you feel ready, when you feel complete, again, look for that ending. And then bring the hands to the thighs, pull the belly in and up, and exhale completely. You could have a little sound here like, ha. Really get it out. And then just be here in this moment of completion, of ending, of letting go, releasing all that does not serve you. But at the same time, knowing that all this nourishing pranayama and movement and discussion that we've been doing, that you can hold on to, that will nourish you. And as you're ready, inhale, stand up. And then again, not rushing through this ending. Be here. Be present now. Feel your feet into the earth. Feel your legs long and strong. Feel your heart lifting. Maybe feel a lightness and a buoyancy through the skull and the brain, the facial skin soft, receding the face. Hopefully clearing out on every level here, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And let that go. Yeah, so just
I enjoyed the physical or the thought process of going through what I know to be the digestive system and everything from the mouth down the esophagus.
We're taking in, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then the ascending colon, descending colon, and all that, and just kind of visualizing it going all the way down through. And well, first, it goes up and then it goes down and it goes around and around. But I was able to really visualize the almost like a ball going through the tract and watching that go down. That helped me to really see the process of all that elimination, and that I can let go of whatever it is that needs to be gone that way. I could do that practice and imagine the all the expectations of the upcoming weeks and just letting all that go. I think would be very helpful for for my for me. Never mind for my family, but for me.
Yeah, so you
Right, exactly. And I think that even just doing it now, I feel more at peace, more calm with it's almost in anticipation of eliminating all that stress and everything. But I want to do this some more. So
So, yeah, that's what I meant about if we do these practices every day,
Mhm.
I think we'll bring more awareness to what we're putting in our shopping carts mentally and
Mhm.
emotionally as well. But if
Yeah.
inadvertently, you're in the grocery store and you run into somebody who's a difficult person,
I
you know,
did that yesterday too.
right, then if you did a practice like this earlier in the day, you're going to have the boundaries that you need to only let in the part of that interaction,
Mhm.
that is really going to nourish you. And
Right.
again, people make that joke, well, it's not all about you. And it's true that we need to have this perspective taking skills to be empathetic and to be compassionate and all of that. But we
Mhm.
won't be able to do that if we're not clear. And
Right.
again, an ending is a clearing, right?
Mhm.
Closing
Mhm.
things out. If we do that for ourselves regularly and we have that clarity, um, and that requires that we do take care of ourselves first.
Mhm. Yep.
And, and then we can have the compassion for others and we can be clear about what we have to give and what we don't have to give. So that
Mhm.
because it's actually harming to everybody if I try to give more than what I have.